Harold Britnell, our longtime Madoc resident and historian. Today we're going to take a little trip down memory lane. And we're going to start back in the year 1946, which was very, very important, wasn't it, Harold, to the growth of Madoc? A new beginning.
46, yes, that was when the war ended, and
so many Madoc residents that had served their country came back. And something that you and I talked about and thought about this was, I think that many of them, maybe for a while, missed the camaraderie that they had found during their time in the service. And maybe that was one of the reasons that the service clubs took off in the area as fast as they did. Do you think that had something to do with it, Harold?
Oh, I'm sure. Oh, yes. Definitely.
That way for long, for sure, but who would some of the service clubs, or what would some of the service clubs be from that era? Was the Kiwanis going back then, Harold?
Pretty close to that time.
Okay.
Yes, pretty close to that time.
And
if not already, yes, going.
Right.
Yes, that was one of the earliest of the service clubs.
Was the Masonic Lodge in existence back here at that time?
Oh, yes.
It was still going.
Yes.
And the Odd Fellows too?
Odd Fellows.
Okay.
Orange.
Okay, yes.
Yes.
Yeah. These were all very, very important to the local scene of things, I'm sure.
Oh, yes.
You know, and even the women's part of these, like the
Exactly.
Rebecca's.
Yeah.
And,
Rebecca's Eastern Star.
yeah, okay.
The Loyal.
LOBA.
Loyal Blue, yes.
Loyal Orange Benevolent Association,
Yes.
the women's part of it.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
right.
And
Yeah.
was the number of people after the war brides being one,
Yes,
that were immigrants and they're in their own way.
exactly.
And they all came to Madoc, and each one of them lent their own peculiar type of culture to our little town.
They certainly did. Yes, they were a very important group of people. I mean, it took several years. You know, they didn't all come at once.
Sure.
But over several years, their impact on the community was really.
Now, where
good.
would they come from? Like, I'm talking what countries now, Harold?
Oh, well, Poland, for instance, East Germany. We had representatives from there.
Okay.
You know.
And then we can't forget the talc mine.
Oh no.
And one time the biggest in the British Commonwealth.
That's right.
And,
That's right. It was, and yes, there were 20-odd people employed down there most of the time.
right.
Oh yes, yeah, that's right. Some of their, shall I say, officers,
Sure. Yeah.
like the engineering technicians and whatnot, they were usually strangers to the village, and they came and bought houses,
Yeah.
settled down,
Yeah. Yeah. Spent money here.
and oh yeah, they became one of us.
Yeah. Maybe they don't get recognized enough for is some of our local politicians at the time and some of the founding fathers of Madoc and the important people, because without them some of these businesses perhaps wouldn't have went on.
Oh, true. Yes, that's true.
Now,
Yes.
going back, Harold, let's say 1950, or pick a year right there, who would have been the Reeve? Do you know, or who would have been one of the Reeves in that era?
Jack Kincaid was the first post-war Reeve.
Okay.
Yes, and Tom Burnside,
Yes.
Bernie Smith. There's one more in there. And then, of course, after you see, we're talking about the 15 year
that's
period.
right.
You
That's
see.
right.
Well, then after that, you see Tom Barton come in,
I remember him.
and Olive Ash was our Reeve for Kincaid boys.
Okay.
You see.
Because the name Kincaid is synonymous with Madoc.
I think there were 5. Yeah, there was the older brother operated the Fuller gravel
Okay.
establishment, you see. They were popular people and, you know,
Well, then we've got the Dafos.
yes.
And
Yeah.
anybody that's into military history at all
Yeah.
has read about Colin Dafo.
Yes. That's
Did you ever
right.
meet him, Harold?
No,
Okay.
no, never did. Yeah, maybe we should tell our viewers that Colin was a surgeon with, what was it, Tito?
Tito's partisans, yeah, in
Tito's-
Yugoslavia,
Yeah, and there's a great book.
called the Parachute War.
He was one actually of several great men that Madoc produced.
Yeah, yeah.
You see, there was Alan Roy Defoe of the quintuplet fame.
Oh, okay. Now, what relation was he?
Well, I don't know.
But he was related.
The local family,
Okay.
yes, that's right. I suppose there may have been brothers and cousins of,
Sure.
that I wouldn't have known. But yes, he was the one who was at the Quint's birth.
The Dion quintuplets.
And brought them along.
Yeah.
Yes, the Dion Quints.
And they were famous at that time,
Oh.
and for years afterwards.
Oh yes, that was a big tourist attraction for years.
Yeah,
into northern Ontario.
Up in Callender.
Callender, North Bay.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. And yes, there was Alan Roy and Colin, and one of the other famous men that Madoc produced was Major Foote.
Oh, John Foote, yeah.
Major Foote,
I remember him. I have met him.
yes, me
The
too.
only Padre to ever win the Victoria Cross.
Yes,
And
Yeah.
won that at Dieppe.
yeah.
Yeah. And he was
Yeah.
also a Presbyterian minister.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, he stayed with the boys rather than,
Yes, he could have got off and he stayed.
yeah.
But one of the things that isn't mentioned so much about him, and I think is important, that he became a member of Parliament after that in the 50s. And he was very instrumental in getting the strap taken out of the Canadian or the Ontario penal institutions.
Wow.
Yeah, he was thought
Yeah.
that was very archaic,
Oh,
and he was very instrumental in getting that abolished.
he was in education. He was a doctor of
Okay.
education. His name was Macintosh.
Okay.
Yeah, and he had two sisters who lived in town, just the house just west of where Walter Armstrong.
Oh yes, yeah, up here,
His
just
wife lived
yeah.
there.
Mhm.
Yeah, that was the Macintosh place.
All
You
right.
see, in those days it was the Macintosh house and so.
Oh,
on.
everybody knew you'd go by that name. Yeah, yeah. They bought
Yeah.
the old so and so's
Yeah.
place. Yeah.
He was a very famous educator. And there's another famous chap, maybe more famous in more recent years after that, but I'd like to mention him
Sure.
because he spent some school days in Madoc,
Okay.
and that's David Maines.
Oh yes. Yeah.
David Maines, a young evangelist, began this 100 Huntley Street
Right.
television,
Yes. Out of Toronto.
and it's still going.
Yeah.
And
And he was from Madoc, or went to school here in Madoc.
he spent some years in Madoc. Yes, his father was a minister
Here in Madoc.
in Madoc.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's
Where he got his background. Then. And, yeah. Now, what year would Olive Ash been involved?
oh, that'd be,
Would that be after '65?
oh, I would say probably before 60.
I'm guessing you're right, because I'll tell you why. Because I remember when she had the creamery,
Yes,
and we used to have a little farm in El Dorado,
yes,
and we used to milk, I think, a half a dozen cows by hand,
yes,
and we'd send cream,
sure.
and it came down to the creamery in Madoc, and she was there then.
Yes,
So,
Uh-huh.
yeah, it had to be her because I wasn't all that old.
yes, that'd be right, yeah.